to that beat, I'm on the phone with my mom, and she's like,
Auntie too.
She's like, yo, I gotta be in SAC at this thing at this time, and then in Vallejo for this thing at this time. And I was like, well, sounds like you can't do both. And I was like, and then I went, wait a minute. I was like, wait, is this where I get this shit from? Trying to be 10 places at once and saying yes to hella shit when it's just totally okay that I can't be in 2 places at once. And we had a genuine laugh off that shit. And then I get here today, and one of B's top topics is people pleasing is just a subtle form of manipulation, and I'm trying to remove all forms of manipulation from my life. And I don't know if you meant it this way, but how I took it is you were taking ownership for your part of the manipulating, right? Did I read that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I said that shit to somebody the other day, and they just looked at me with the most blank stare, not as if they didn't agree. They just couldn't believe that that's the space that I was arriving in. And my choice to people please has nothing to do with none of y'all. This trying to make sure I get into heaven. And it's all out of scarcity too. I think that's the fucked up part. Yeah. It's out of fear of losing folks. It's out of fear of losing things, losing opportunity, like losing your space in line. Like if I don't overextend myself, man, they might not fuck with me this time. Like so, you know, that I don't know. Be my bad to step on you, but I just when I seen it, I was like, God damn it, we podding today.
Yeah, I was explaining to somebody that I was stressed, and they were asking like why, and I was giving the whole whatever, and they were like, so you're people pleasing, and I was like, ugh, because that's been something I've been very conscious of in the last year that I'm trying to be better at, and there are moments where I just can't, like, it doesn't come into my mind like, oh, you are feeling guilt because you're trying, like, you're people pleasing. And so they had sent me this thing that basically said people pleasing is a subtle form of manipulation because you're trying to control someone else's view of you.
Sheesh.
And I was like, damn, you right. Like, and I'm like, it's
right.
something I knew, but it was like, okay, I needed to hear this in this moment to make certain decisions that I knew people may or may not like, but it didn't matter. But I'm really getting into a place of just reshifting people's place in my life, whether that means completely taking them out or just shifting the proximity and the inner circle. You know, sometimes you just kind of gotta relook and shift around. And I say shifting rather than cutting people off, because I'm typically a very like I'm gonna just like cut you off type of person, but I'm trying to be able to say like, hey, like this is what my new boundaries are. And if you can agree that, you know, I got to shift you here and you cool with that, then like we can have this conversation of this is now what our relationship is. But if you're upset that, you know, you got shifted from a tier 1 to a tier 4 and that's a problem for you, then, you know, okay, I'm just gonna have to be okay with that. And you're going to have to not like me or whatever that is and just let that shit ride. But my thing is like, I'm really trying to get to a space where I can fully operate in my truth. I can fully operate in who I'm finding out who I am to be. So that means I don't want to have to lie to you. I don't want to have to manipulate you, whether that's like intentional or subtle or subconscious people pleasing to try to get you to be okay with me. I don't want you to have to lie to me. Like, I just want to be able to have the freedom to be in a space of I can be completely who I am, and everybody has to be okay with it. And I was thinking about a conversation I had with somebody where it was kind of just like, yeah, you kind of have to get shifted. And it was more so in a sense of them starting with like, yeah, like I feel like you acting different, which is always funny for me when people say that. But I just was kind of like, well, you know what? Like, let me at first acknowledge, like, I've been manipulating you. And they were like, what? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, not intentionally, but like, me people pleasing is manipulating you. So I get why you think I should continue to show up this way. But me showing up this way is self-sabotage, and I'm not doing that anymore. So either you can agree to like how I can show up, or we just not gonna fuck with each other like that. And this was a completely like platonic whatever. And they were like, they kind of like didn't know what to say and was like, well, let me kind of like sit with that for a little bit. And I was like, cool. But like, I'm not at a place anymore where I don't want no like form of manipulation around me. And I don't want to have to manipulate you to be here. And I don't want to feel like I'm getting manipulated. Like, I don't want that kind of energy around me. And so I just think of like, when I think about growth, I cannot like, I think about it this way. If I'm going to grow or evolve and be on a different frequency, and you're on a different frequency than I am, like if I keep you around, all I can ever do is either stay at my frequency and spend a bunch of energy making sure I don't drop down, or I'm going to drop down to yours. And if those are my two options, like I kind of don't want either one, low key, because I don't want to have to put a bunch of energy into not dropping down to your frequency, because that energy could be put somewhere else. So you're just going to have to accept that like there is this distance between us or whatever. And yeah, I just was like, I don't want to have to manipulate nobody no more. I don't want to have to manipulate you. I don't want to have to be manipulated. I don't want no lying around me. Like, I want to operate in the fullest form of freedom, because I feel like that's what love is.
Damn.
And I only want real love around me.
Damn. You like trying to remove all forms of manipulation out of your life. Does it feel like, because maybe it's not quite the same, but Lex has something similar where it's like, when do you know it's time to reinvent yourself? And I know oftentimes we kind of just like allocate that to like brands and artists and shit like that, but it's like on some personal shit, like it's time for a rebrand. Like you want to redecorate your room, you want to get a new comforter, you want to get some new nigga, I don't know, like something. You just want to switch some shit up though. But acquiring new tools, form of discipline and like growing and learning, that doesn't seem like it's always supported for adults. But it's what I used to think, and then I started finding these sort of sub pockets and subgroups of adults that were working and testing new things and asking questions and experimenting and then kind of just leaning on the extracted data as opposed to having a preconceived, this is what it is, like the rigidity around just like, oh, this is what time it is. Like, nah, let's allow for a little discovery. And and then you go, and then to hear you go, yo, I do feel like love is just freedom for real. B. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh no, I can't hear you. No. I think that, I think I'm kind of in a space now where I'm like constantly trying to like, I don't know if reinvent myself is the way I would personally phrase it, but I'm constantly trying to like settle into myself in some way. And I think it's just, that's a huge focus of my journey at the moment. But it's like, I'm trying to kind of figure out, like, I think to me, it's like, I want to be operating at my truest self, but I always have to ask, like, what is that? You know, like when people talk about showing up authentically, I think that that's not just being like, well, I'm gonna come here and say whatever the fuck I want to say. And I'm like, no, showing up authentically is a dualistic thing. It's being able to show up as yourself, but also on the back end doing the work to figure out who yourself is. Like, both of those have to be active at the same time to like be authentic. And so I think I'm just at a space where I'm trying to fully navigate, like, I think the best thing I can do for myself and my journey is to be myself. But finding out who that is going to require some things. And that's kind of in the space where I'm at. It's like, maybe it's kind of reinventing in a way, but it's more so that like, I just have to be okay that whatever shit I strip off of me, people can look at it as like, oh, you've changed. But it's also, to me, I just go, no, I just am more myself, and I just don't care how you feel about it necessarily. Like, I know that sounds fucked up, but it's kind of not. Like, it is just, if me being more of myself offends you, then we don't need to really be cool like that.
Lex, bub, what sparked the reinvention question for you?
I was having a conversation with somebody, and they had asked me if I knew when it was like time for me to be like, it's time for me to kind of change or grow. And then that's what sparked that question. And I guess reinvent was like the best catchy word I could choose
Right.
to use in that question.
Right. But you said you spoke to that a few times, and yours was pretty clear to you. Like,
Yeah.
it was like a either decision of having your family or not. Like, for like, right? Am
Yeah.
I remembering that
Basically.
correctly?
Yeah. And then like even there's been this second jump where for me it was like when I first came out here I was more focused on music and like making sure Jizzle shit go
Right.
than I was on any of my talents or skills or what I wanted to do creatively. And now I'm in this place where now I'm figuring out how to balance both of them equally.
Right.
And still just give myself to see what I can do.
Right. You've had a unique
rebrand.
You a rebrand. I put you up there with Joe. I put you up there with Joe. Is Joe Budden and his L? Wait, no, it's
Lawrence, please.
Lawrence. It's Joe Budden, Lawrence Gerganius, and fucking Joe Rogan, dog. We've been marathon. Shout out to Myron. We've been marathoning fucking Fear Factor. We're not gonna let Joe just be Joe Rogan that he is now and act like that didn't
Got that
happen.
off back then?
Yeah, he fully got that off, and he was getting something stupid per episode for that.
Oh yeah, for sure. He was getting big bucks. Big bucks.
Oh man.
But yeah, I think once human beings get comfortable with the fact that you're more than likely going to have to do a reinvention at some point. You might even have to do multiple, but it's just a part of like the, being comfortable with adaptation, like just adapting to whatever point in life or what you want out of life as well. So if you're doing like these vision boards or that's kind of like the thing or whatever, or just kind of forecasting the future,
Right.
and if you do a deep dive or a true self-assessment of where you are today, then what it is that you want tomorrow, the person that you are today has no chance of obtaining. So if you look at it in the context of what it will take to get to the point of what it is that you want, then you have to start the process on that now. And first things first is what B was talking about as far as like just becoming comfortable in being uncomfortable, and also challenging self. So when you're challenging self, you don't have enough free space within you to then worry about another person. And you have to go through that period, and it's unfortunate, because it's going to hurt a lot of feelings. And you just have to. I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking about this yesterday when I was driving, but I was thinking about, man, like, the amount of casualties that I had in the process of my change.
People, speaking about people.
Yeah, people. Yeah, I'm thinking of people. And like I was thinking specifically family members, because I was like,
it's easy to go to like relationships and like chicks and shit, but it's like it'd be family for real.
It'd be family because you have the strongest ties to family, especially because you started at a certain point of need, and then now you're in a point of no longer needing. Now it's all like on your own accord what you would like to provide. And when you're going through some of these changes, unfortunately, you trim a lot of that excess, the attachment portion of things, and it's unfortunate. But when you're going through this, you can't think about all the people that you're hurting during this, because it's about your self growth. Once you get to that, once you've completed, or you never completed, but once you've, gotten to a comfortable space within the uncomfort, then the next thing is now doubling back, I guess, and just providing the self that you are now to those that may have been hurt throughout whatever period of time, and whatever time it takes on that. That part doesn't really matter. It's the point that you got to the point that you're supposed to get to. Now you can fully provide whatever it is from self.
Right.
And I always think about it as, y'all could have had the me that y'all wanted during whatever period of time that y'all didn't have me, but y'all wouldn't have me today. So you gotta have to think about it.
Cost. Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, it comes at there's a cost involved. Right. So which one would you really rather have? And if it was that you'd rather have the me of before, like throughout that time period, then I'm sorry I didn't provide that to you, but I got to keep it moving.
Right.